Hello and welcome to my review of the Warhammer 40,000 Conquest magazine issue 46. Wow, what an issue for the low price of £7.99, which all of these issues cost. Hatchett partworks have redeemed themselves by including almost £70 worth of models. Now, how I've worked this out is I've said that the Lord of Contagion, I've been very fair and expected that to sell at £22.50, but they could try and sell it for £25. And also 4 Plague Marines, I've calculated that based on the current Plague Marine set, which is £30 for 7, which is still a lot of money, but you've got a lot of options in that kit. And then the Fetid Blight Drone is a £30 model. So this magazine is worth it just based on one of these models. But the downside, of course, is these models are, I say these models are old. They came out in 2017, so they're only sort of 2.5 years old. But they are the models from the Dark Imperium box set that came out in 2017 in the summer. You've got a Lord of Contagion, which you can't find anywhere else other than this magazine and the Dark Imperium set, and I believe they should have released this separately somehow, because his parts are all mixed in with these Plague Marine parts. These Plague Marines, which although you can get Plague Marines in a normal box set, these are different to those. And the Fetid Bloat Drone, this is only one type of Fetid Bloat Drone, and you can't really swap the pieces around or move them apart. But what I will be doing later on in the review, so I hope you stick around for that, is I will be showing you them next to other Death Guard models for your consideration. So let's have a look at the magazine first. It focuses on the Fetid Bloat Drone and the weapons that it's equipped with, like the Plague Probe and the Plague Spitters, the Demonic Flesh and the Turbines. The different types, of which I've got a different type on the right here. You can have the Plague Spitter version, the Flesh Mower version, which I will be getting at some point. It's just here, sorry. And then this with the heavy Blight Launcher, which I'll be showing you my model of that one in a moment. Building your Plague Marines, they're very straightforward to put together. They're not pushed to fit. You will need glue to put on all of the edges, and you build 4 of them there. They're all equipped with the bolt weapon, the bolt guns, and the plague knives. And then you've got the Fetid Bloat Drone, which, look, it's built on one page. It's very, very quick and easy to build, and similar to the Lord of Contagion. You get some spare parts, but those spare parts you store them and you make another Plague Marine later on in the issues. How to paint them. And how to do some detail, specifically the eye there. And yeah, looking really good now. Bit of a power struggle between Lord Gangrus and Lord Felthius, and the mission for that. And then you get a data sheet for the Fetid Bloat Drone. You don't get one for the Plague Marines because I think we've had that before, and I think the Lord of Contagion one comes out later. And then you'll look at the next 2 conquests, the Space Marine Land Speeder. It's worth noting that you can build 3 different land speeders out of this one issue. This is shown with the tornado pattern. You can also build a normal land speeder, which gets rid of the underslung heavy weapon and just opts for either the heavy bolter or the multi-melter, or the land speeder Typhoon, which has the Typhoon missile launcher either side. And then the next issue, and then issue 48, includes 2 Space Marine bikes. I think one of the later issues just includes 1 bike, so there you go. Let's have a look at these models then. So I'm just going to show you some details. Now, I was very quick in putting these together because I'm trying to build as many models as possible, and I'm paying more attention to the grey plastic models, and I probably will come back to these at a later date, just to file off some of the mould lines and things. So please do forgive me. I know there are mould lines all over the joint on these models, but I'm confident that I'll come back to them before spraying them and give them a jolly good brushing off. So here's the Lord of Contagion. We're going to look at them individually. I'll do some size comparisons and comparisons with other Death Guard models, and then we'll go straight into the rules. It's going to be, say, a pretty long video, because I'm going to be going through the rules for the Lord of Contagion first, then Plague Marines, then the Fetid Bloat Drone in that order. So this is the Lord of Contagion. He looks awesome, absolutely brilliant model. He's got this lovely Plague Reaper or Man Reaper. He's standing on a load of Nurglings that have been squished beyond recognition. Well, not beyond recognition, they're still there, you can see them. You've got some chains, you've got a load of smoke coming from the top of the power armies in this awesome looking Cataphractii Terminator from the power plant. He's got some awesome looking Cataphractii Terminator armor there. Such a big model on such a big base as well. You know, it's on this 50mm base, which gives him a lot of presence compared to, you know, Terminators that are on the 40mm bases. But there you go, lovely model, lots of detail. Here's a semi-painted version of him. The way I got him to look like this was I just sprayed him with the Death Guard green colour. Then I gave him a light, once that was completely dry, I painted him with Death Guard green. Then once that was dry, I gave him a light dry brushing of Pallid Witch Flesh. Very light shading, very light highlighting, and then to tone it all down, I shaded him with Agrax Earthshade, and then you can just pop in all the detail, and it gives you such a lovely effect, which you'll see in all my Death Guard army. So that's the Lord of Contagion. Can't get that model anywhere else, so really awesome HQ unit. Then the Plague Marines themselves, what more can be said for these? These were in the Dark Imperium. They've got awesome look, they have truly epic poses. This Plague Marine, one-handing, no-scoping bolt gun there, and he's even got a little bell on his pommel. Bells everywhere, actually. He must jingle about, and bells on the power plant. He is a very jolly guy indeed. You definitely want him at your Christmas party. Then you've got this one, who is, got this awesome-looking gas mask thing over his helmet, cradling that bolt gun. Got one of these Blight Grenades dangling from his power plant, and is holding Blight Grenade 2. About to toss it and cause havoc, release some viruses. And then this one, again, with another grenade, like a steampunk looking power plant there, with the bolt gun and Plague Knife. And then this one, probably one of my favourites, awesome looking Plague Knife, one hand in the bolt gun, and it's got loads of tentacles and horns coming out of the armour. The armour plate for this one, the shoulder pauldron, actually you have to penetrate the pauldron with the horn, as you do, and just gently slide that on and give it a nice tight fit. Anyway, you've also got some grenades there too, and some more tentacles hidden in places to be discovered. So they're the Plague Marines. You get 4 of them. I'm guessing with the spare parts you make another one later on. And then the Fetid Bloat Drone, which is quite a big model really to have in such a small magazine in a way. It's armed with these dual Plague Spitters. You can sort of magnetise these, but in my experience it's best to have the Fetid Bloat Drones as, you know, but it can be a bit of a fiddly operation. So if you want to have your Fetid Bloat Drone with one weapon, just go for what it's equipped with. It is a bit on a wonk, I've just noticed that. I think it might just be how flat the cables were when I glued them onto the base, so well, it sort of adds to the wonkiness of the flight. I mean, he is a flying unit, he's going to be on a bit of a wonk. So let me just show you them compared to other models. So here is the one that you'll probably be most interested in. So this is the £30 kit, Fetid Bloat Drone kit. And again, he's sort of on a bit of a wonk as well, isn't he? But he's got the heavy blight launch, and that looks absolutely amazing with the big canister of goop or whatever it is, acid. You know, you've got all of these. You've got many more hoses and things coming out of the front. The turbofans are the same, but you can have him with all this jetted steam or whatever coming out of the horns, out of the pipes, and yeah, the back is a little bit more detail, I feel, with some cracks and things, but there are more cracks there too. But yeah, this horrible looking hose thing that attaches to the big weapon. The flesh mower would be different. In the kit, it's worth noting, I think you get 3 different face plates, I want to call them. The turbofans are the same. The different faceplates have different like effects. So this one has smoke, there's one that doesn't have anything, and so on, and different faces there as well. And you can mix and match them. So you could have had different faces for this one with the heavy blight launcher, or you could have them with the plague spitters, whatever. But I've now got 2 plague spitters and 1 of these. All I need is that flesh mower, and then my collection is pretty much complete. So there you go with that one. And the other sort of comparison I wanted to make is not with the Plague Marines, because they are very similar to the rest of my collection, but also with the Lord of Contagion. If you were after a Lord of Contagion, but there's no way of you getting this model, you could always use a Death Shroud Terminator. They're very similar in that regard. They've got a Plague Reaper or Man Reaper. There's no issue of using one of these as a Lord of Contagion. It's just the base size, really. I think it would work well still on a 50mm base. He looks a bit cramped up on that 40mm base, I have to say, but just as a little option if you wanted to go down the avenue of not having a Lord of Contagion at all. Okay, just a couple of size comparisons then. You've seen them with some of the Death Guard models. So next to normal Space Marines, here's a Plague Marine. Next to a normal Space Marine. They are bigger. That's to exemplify that they've been blessed and bloated beyond recognition. I mean, if you made them all the same size as this Space Marine, it would be hard to explain how they've been bloated and blessed over many thousands of years, you know, tens of thousands of years or so. But with the Primaris, they are a little bit taller, and that makes a bit of sense. Yeah, they're, well, I'll say a little bit taller. They are taller. So they are taller. And it's the Lord of Contagion. Primaris is same height, if not a bit taller, which is quite a big feat considering he's in big cataphracti armour. And the Fetid Bloat Drone will still hover above most of the units on the battlefield. It's nice that this collection's given you a Fetid Bloat Drone and a Myphitic Blight Hauler. And it gave you Myphitic Blight Hauler earlier on in the collection, so that was great. Okay, so this is my part of the review where I will go through all of the rules for these miniatures that you get in issue 46. The only rules you get in the issue are just the Fetid Bloat Drone, and they are specific to this Fetid Bloat Drone. You don't have any other options to include a flesh mower at all, but all the abilities remain the same and the stat line remains the same, so does the power points cost, but you don't get the match play points cost. That's important to note. However, we'll start off on the right with the Lord of Contagion, which is held up in quite high regard in the Death Guard Codex. You've got the Demon Prince of Nurgle, Typhus, and then the Lord of Contagion, which is higher than a Chaos Lord, 1 in Terminator armour, a Sorcerer in Terminator armour, and a Malignant Plaguecaster. So he's pretty high up there in terms of HQs. He's a power points cost of a 7, and a points cost of 120. Compared to Typhus, for instance, Typhus is 175 points and a power points cost of a 9, so Typhus does cost more. Stat line wise though, they have exactly the same stat line, which, yeah, shocked me at first glance, but they do. Their stat line reads: movement of 4 inches, weapon skill 2+, ballistic skill 2+, strength 4, toughness 5, 6 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 9, and a save of 2+. They've both got cataphracti armour, remember, so that gives them a 4+ invulnerable save, but you must half the result of dice roll when determining how far they advance, and they can teleport, remember. So although they're slow, they do have a brilliant toughness of 5, they do have an excellent save of 2+, and they have that invulnerable 4+. These are models not to be underestimated, except for their movement speed. So, a Lord of Contagion is a single model armed with a Plague Reaper. What does a Plague Reaper do? Well, it's a strength +2, so that's strength 6, AP -3, and damage of 3, and it's a plague weapon. Super, what does a plague weapon do again? Just remind me. Well, you can reroll wound rolls of 1 for a weapon with this ability, so that's good, you can reroll those wound rolls. This model may replace its Plague Reaper with a Man Reaper. Now, is this worth it? The Plague Reaper costs 30 points, but the Man Reaper only costs 17. So what it's equipped with costs more than what you can choose for it to be equipped with, by 13 points, which could make all the difference. So You can change that Plague Reaper with with a Man Reaper, and a Man Reaper has a strength of +3, so you've now got strength 7, AP -3, but you've got a damage of D3, so you're foregoing the solid damage of 3 for a probability of damage 2 or more. It still has a plague weapon, so it's up to you whether you want to take the gamble of damage for that extra strength and save yourself points. It's up to you whether you think that's worth that. Abilities: Death to the False Emperor, disgustingly resilient, so that means, you know, on a 5+ of a wound is ignored. Nurgle's Gift: all Death Guard units within 7 inches of a friendly Lord of Contagion are surrounded by a deadly aura of plague and disease. Roll a dice for each enemy unit that is within 1 inch of any affected friendly units at the start of your turn. On a 4+, that enemy unit suffers a mortal wound. Pretty decent. Cataphractii Armour, I've already mentioned, got a 4+ invulnerable save there. And Teleport Strike, you can set this model up in a teleportarium chamber instead of placing it on the battlefield. At the end of your movement phases, it can teleport into battle. Set it up anywhere that is more than 9 inches away from any enemy models. Keywords: Chaos, Nurgle, Heretic Astartes, Death Guard, Character, Infantry, Terminator and Lord of Contagion. So there you go, that's your HQ choice, Lord of Contagion. You've already got Lord Felthius, but now you've got a second one. So, moving to the Plague Marines all the way on the left, they are a troop choice, and they're a power points cost of a 7, of course they are, and they're a points cost of 19 per model. Their stat line reads: a movement of 5 inches, weapon skill and ballistic skill 3+, strength 4, toughness 5, 1 wound, 1 attack, leadership 7, and a save of 3+. The Plague Champion has the same stat line, except he gets 2 attacks instead of 1, and a leadership of 8. I won't read through the whole profile for Plague Marines, but what I will say is this unit contains 1 Plague Champion and 4 Plague Marines. So at the moment, that squad there is, I say, illegal in terms of the unit, but you do get more Plague Marines later on, so you can add and make a full unit. And in total, you can have a unit of 20 Plague Marines, which is quite intimidating, really. For toughness 5, save 3+, and ignore wounds on a 5+, quite intimidating. They have a plethora of weapons, everything from blight launchers to plague spewers, plague belchers, flail of corruptions, and so on. You can get an Icon of Despair. You can have a Plague Marine that's armed with 2 plague knives, and they get 2 attacks instead of 1. And the keywords is just Chaos, Nurgle, Heretic Astartes, Death Guard, Infantry, and Plague Marines. So they're quite straightforward, and I think you've got the rules for them earlier on in one of the issues. And then finally, let's talk about that fast attack choice, the Fetid Bloat Drone. It's a power points cost of an 8 and a points cost of 99. Compared to the Myphitic Blight Hauler, it is more expensive by 14 points, and it is the same movement speed. Also, the downside of it compared to a Myphitic Blight Hauler is it's one of these vehicles, or demon engines, should I say, that is affected by the damage that it takes, if it's got less wounds. So it starts off with 10 wounds. If it's got between 6 and 10 wounds, its movement speed is 10 inches, strength of 6 and attacks 3. If it's got between 3 and 5, its movement is 8 inches, strength 5 and attacks 2. And 1 to 2 wounds, its movement speed drops all the way down to 6 inches, strength 4 and attacks 1. Its weapon skill and ballistic skill are both 4+. Its strength, as I said, is 6. Toughness is 7, 10 wounds, leadership 8 and a save of 3+. So the only thing you're getting compared to the Myphitic Blight Hauler is 2 extra wounds there. But everything else can be, pretty much everything else can be affected by the number of wounds that it's got. It is a single model equipped with 2 Plague Spitters and a Plague Probe. So this is what it's got at the moment. A Plague Spitter, which is a bit like a flamer. It's a range 9 inch, assault d6, strength of the user, which is 6, and again, is going to be affected by the wounds it has. Its AP is -1 and damage 1. It is a plague weapon and it automatically hits its target. So that's a good combination, that it can re-roll the wounds of a 1 and that it already hits as well. But strength 6, you shouldn't really have any issues there. If you bought the full kit, you could have the heavy blight launcher instead, which is a nice 36 inch, assault 6, strength 6, AP -2 and damage 3, and a plague weapon. You can see why I picked that one up, because essentially you've got an effective range of 46 inches there. With that Fetid Bloat Drone, it could just whiz about the board. Or you can go full melee by having the Flesh Mower, which bumps the strength up to 8, AP -2, damage 2, and it can make 6 additional attacks with this weapon. So you've now got 9 attacks with the Flesh Mower. Unfortunately, both the Flesh Mower and Plague Spitter are linked and affected by how many wounds the model has. By that I mean the Plague Spitter is the strength of the user. So if you've only got 1 or 2 wounds left, you're only going to be you've only got a strength of 4. Likewise with the Flesh Mower, its strength isn't the user, but it's strength plus 2. So again, if you've only got 1 or 2 wounds left on this thing, you're only going to have strength of 6, which is still alright. But you get where I'm coming from, in that the damage characteristics being affected by wounds has such a rippling effect on its other abilities. War gear options: this model may replace its Plague Spitters with a heavy blight launcher or a Flesh Mower. Abilities: it's got disgustingly resilient, demonic, so it's got a 5+ invulnerable, so that's great. So 3+ normal, 5+ invulnerable, and putrid explosion. If this model is reduced to 0 wounds, roll a d6 before removing it from the battlefield. On a 4+, it explodes, and each unit within 7 inches suffers 1 mortal wound. So keywords: Chaos, Nurgle, Heretic Astartes, Death Guard, Vehicle, Demon, Demon Engine, Fly, and Fetid Bloat Drone. So there you go. I mean, why I pick my Fittic Blight Haulers compared to the Bloat Drone is mainly because of those wounds. Yes, it's got less wounds, but it's the same speed, same saves. It just isn't, it's the strength of the vehicle itself in combat and range isn't affected by the damage characteristics. It has the Blight Spurt, which is a nice ranged weapon. It's 22-inch range, effective range. It's got the multi-melter. Again, that's a 34-inch effective range, and it's got that missile launcher, so it's got a long range weapon, and it's also got a good melee weapon too, which is a plague weapon, as well as it having 5+ invulnerable, it being tri-tracked, so you can always move and fire the heavy weapons, the foul stench, the tri-lobe if you have 3 of them, and the putrescent fog as well, where Death Guard infantry get armor saves. For me at least, it is a no-brainer. In my opinion, you're getting a better unit for cheaper points that has an area effect as well that boosts your unit, and it's not limited by the damage characteristics. I don't mean to go on about them, but I play devil's advocate in a way, and I don't understand why the Fittic Blight Hauler doesn't have this same kind of limitation, although I'm very pleased that it doesn't. Anyway, that's enough about the Fetid Bloat Drone, and that is enough about all of these models in the set. Hatchett Partworks, what are you doing to me? By bundling in 3 different unit types in one magazine, it means that I've reviewed all 3 units individually. But I hope it was fun for you, and I hope you've enjoyed this review of issue 46. Very decent issue, one of the best, if not the best, in terms of the models included. You're not getting 1 unit and you're not getting 1 model, you're getting 6 models there, and 2 of which can be quite pricey if you manage to get them separately. What do you guys think of the issue and the models? Of course, if you've already got the Dark Imperium set, it might still be worth getting them because they're just adding to your force, and it's a very decent value set if you choose to duplicate the models you've already got. Put your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. As always, it'd be great to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. Papa bless.